are gathered here today to mourn the diva formerly known as Sag Moon Magic. Unfortunately, she is no longer with us because a very powerful group of wizards with big wieners placed a death curse on her. But now the spicy diva is in a better place. She is in the deep, fiery depths of Tartarus, probably having margaritas with Hades, and frankly, we love that for her. This would normally be the part of the funeral where I say some nice things about the deceased, but according to this file given to me by the internet, she's nothing but a massive bitch and a big old hoe who doesn't know when to shut her fucking mouth. Suppose in that case it's rather good things played out the way that they did. I've heard Sag Moon Magic's familiar Castiel has some encouraging, hopeful, and uplifting words to give us during this difficult time. So I will now hand this candle holder that I am pretending is a microphone over to him. Wow, that was so articulate and insightful. Can always count on Mr. Castiel to have good words of encouragement during difficult times like these. I have here the diva formerly known as Sag Moon Magic's will and testament, if you will. It says here that all proceeds and any funds remaining in my bank account will be donated to Divas Without Borders. Lovely. And the remaining assets of her business and the position of CFO will be handed over to Sag Moon Magic's familiar, Castiel the Cat. Castiel, I would like you to please at this time verbally confirm that you accept the new position of CFO of Sag Moon Magic LLC. Lovely. I accept the double blink as a confirmed yes. As a final tribute to the diva formerly known as Sag Moon Magic, I will now recite this song about sea lions in her honor, because I heard she liked them a rather unusual amount. She was a sea lion on the land, and now she's in the sea in the sky. She was a sea lion in the land, and now she's in the sky. Rest in peace, diva. I am done being Sag Moon Magic. For the time being, I'm done being her. I don't want to be her right now, at least for the time being. She is being utterly and completely slandered by half the internet. And for what? Calling out a creator that some of you thought was funny for abusive behavior, and then having the script completely flipped and being accused of it myself a day after I was fucking brave enough to make that post. No, I'm done. I don't want to be Sag Moon Magic anymore. This is too much. Like, I need a break. I will still be doing client work and taking clients. If you have inquiries about spell work, please email me. I have a sale going on from now until the end of Mercury retrograde, and I will still be doing client work during that time. But please, if you are a client, email me if you are interested in spell work or want updates on your spell work. Please make sure you are emailing me and not DMing me, because I just might not be on this app that much. Because I need a break from being Sag Moon Magic. Being Sag Moon Magic is fucking overwhelming. It's sad. It's depressing as fuck right now, and I don't want to be her. I just need to be Sophie for a little bit. Like, Sophie deserves a break from being Sag Moon Magic. Sophie is an abuse survivor. Sophie has severe PTSD, and it's super autistic and bipolar, and it's very overwhelmed by everything that is going on right now. And frankly triggered for being accused of a lot of the same shit that literally put me in the hospital. And I know that sometimes going through stuff like this is just kind of like a part of being on the internet, but as an autistic person, it's very hard not to internalize a lot of the things that are being said about me or take them literally. And Sophie deserves a break from being Sag Moon Magic. So I am just going to be Sophie for a little bit. I will hopefully be returning after Mercury is no longer in the fucking microwave. But until then, I'm just going to focus on doing client work, answering client emails and stuff. And again, if you are a client or someone who is interested in spell work, please email me. And again, everything on the website is 20% off through the end of Mercury retrograde. And hopefully I will be back sometime around then, but I just need a break from being fucking Sag Moon Magic. I am not leaving y'all behind forever, but I just need to get offline for a little bit and take care of myself because I deserve that. I really wanted to say too to my audience and those of you who are still supporting me through this, thank you. And I Really hope that I have not disappointed you. I've really just been trying to do what's right and to fight for what I believe in. But it's getting really hard and I just need a break. I really want to be able to show up for you guys as my silly, magical, strong, whimsical self. And I just don't feel that way right now. I'm angry. I'm upset. I'm also very sad. I feel deeply misunderstood. Like being lied about is so fucking hard for me, especially as an autistic person who's like, no, that's not true. That's not true. But like, I can't, I don't even know what to do in this situation. So I think I need to take my own advice that I gave at the beginning of Mercury retrograde and just really shut the fuck up and mind my own fucking business for a little bit. I'm very sorry if you're a part of my community and you've been disappointed in me in the last couple days. Again, like this entire situation has been very triggering and traumatizing, and I realized that there are certain points in the last week or so that I have not been my best self. I need a mental health break so I don't end up in the danger zone because frankly I've been there for a little bit and I need to just ground and get out of there before I return to being Miss Sag Moon Magic. Also, if anyone takes magical credit for me getting off of the internet for a little bit, I just want you to know that you are super duper weird and you need help. Anyways, bye for now, divas. Email me if you're interested in spells. Sale going on until the end of Mercury retrograde, and I will also hopefully see you then as well. I think it's easy for a lot of us to forget that the internet is not actually a deity, especially those of us in the spiritual community that make our livelihood through posting and being online, sharing our practices online, because at some point it does kind of start to feel like a deity. It's like this big form of energy with all of this feedback. It's how we make money. It's how we get attention and praise, how we form a lot of our identity. Or at least that's kind of what it's turned into for me personally. And I've really been reflecting and like that's not how the internet should be. The internet is a tool. The internet is a channel, not a deity or a form of divine authority within itself. And I think a lot of the mistakes that I've made in the last couple weeks and how I've navigated various situations that have come up is that I have treated the internet as if it is a divine spiritual authority. And as a spiritual person, as someone who is working on their path to priestesshood, the internet is not who I should be turning to when I am feeling frustrated about bigger systemic issues. The divine is who I should be turning to. And I think essentially trying to crucify someone or blame all of these systemic issues on one person and using them as an example and being like, look, see, they're proof, the patriarchy. Like that's probably not necessarily the best way to go about enacting systemic change. And the people that you use their mistakes to point out those things, they're also people. And there's complex identities at play and other things at play other than just, I saw you do something wrong and I feel some type of way about it. I think a lot of the strong reactions, frustrations, emotions, and maybe not so great things that people have done in the last little bit from all sides have come from a place of deep trauma and very strong emotions. And I know I'm not the only person in the community who is experiencing a lot of very harsh public discourse right now. I've seen a lot of my mutuals going through similar things that I've been, and like, I don't know if this is just Mercury retrograde or the Mars-Uranus conjunction or what's going on, but there's a lot of very heavy public discourse between spiritual practitioners going on right now. And a lot of us are getting very angry about people coming for our identities, for things that we've said, attacking our values and things of that nature. Which is understandable because that's natural. But at the same time, I thought that this would be something that was important to point out. Because again, I know I'm not the only person who's kind of experiencing this sort of thing online right now.
And I can't speak for everyone and what they're going to decide to do in the future, but I think something that I've really taken away from this entire experience and everything that has gone on in the last couple weeks is that I'm not supposed to come to the internet when I see something that I personally think is wrong or speaks to deeper systemic issues. That is not my role. That is not my place. In fact, that might even be an act of hubris. It comes from a place of ego, and it's not a spirit-led thing to do. I am not the spiritual judge, jury, and executioner. I don't get to decide how people feel or think about someone, and I shouldn't try and do that. That's the divine's role. And to try and take that upon myself to do that work, again, I personally, after reflecting on it, feel is an act of hubris. If you don't know what hubris is, it's essentially thinking that you are either better than the gods or equal to them. And I'm not a god, so I shouldn't try and act like one. I think the next time that I see something in the spiritual community that I think speaks to a deeper systemic issue, instead of trying to insert myself into the conversation, I'm just going to donate to organizations related to issues that I care about. I'm going to go to the altar. I'm going to speak to my deities about it. And I think really more take it, instead of a personal attack to my values, as kind of maybe feedback that there's something bigger in the world that needs work or that needs attention or care, and not more fire or conflict or blame. Because at the end of the day, that doesn't help anyone. That makes the situation worse. And a lot of the people who are doing things that are speaking to deeper issues that are systemic are not the systemic issues themselves. Like a singular person who says something out of that comes from a place of misogyny or hate is not reflective of that person as a whole or of their values, but a deeper reflection of issues in society at large. And they should not should not be blamed entirely for a system that was broken in the first place. I'm a very pattern-oriented person, and it's very difficult for me sometimes when I see repeated patterns of behavior that are reflective of certain systemic issues in society. I want to call it out. I want to be like, look, everyone see, this is a problem. But I shouldn't be using people who are also hurt and oppressed by those very systems that some of their actions may be reflective of. It's not a good idea to crucify that person or to blame them solely, again, for a broken system. And again, I think that's the trouble I've gotten myself into for like an entire year. There have been tons of various situations where I see patterns of the harm of misogyny or capitalism or things of that nature, and I'm like, look, see, problem. But it's not right to use singular people to point to deeper systemic issues, because that's not fair. And so again, going forward, I really think it is important, at least for me personally, to not treat the internet as a divine spiritual authority, but also to take deeper reflections at what people's actions and behaviors are, and the systems that they are reflective of, and maybe looking to those and seeing how there is deeper divine spiritual work that I can do to combat the systems and not the people who are simply reflective of them. I think sometimes it is difficult to be a spiritual person in this space because it is very easy to get caught up in your reputation and defending what you believe in and just public discourse on the internet, especially because the algorithm feeds off of conflict. But I think for me personally, taking a step back, and kind of looking at the systems that some of these things, conversations, things that are being done are reflective of, and maybe talking about those, maybe not talking about them, maybe just doing some private work to help remedy them, is probably the best course of action for me personally going forward. Remember, the internet is not a deity. It is not a divine spiritual authority. The divine is.